All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. We're gonna check its local and city searches and see if they got BSS for any of them. So we're back here in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that. Pinned video, homepage, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So it's our full intent ladder. High intent over on the left, low intent over on the right. So for Ryzen, we're probably bringing in peeps from this entire intent ladder, high to low intent, making them aware of us, bringing them into us. And if we're falling, then we're missing some chunks of people somewhere. So again, F6 explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. That's why it's our North Star. So here we talk about BSS, boudoir search sameness. Well, we'll get into that. That's all about over on the left side, the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots in our city right now across social search on social media, and on Google. Then over on the right, the lowest intent peeps, that's where we deal with our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, our other profiles. We talk about BLCS, and right now we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. And Facebook ads was going to the lowest intent people, which is actually the highest volume of people in that ever exist in one time in a city. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots, dude, we're dead, because we already know approximately 80% of all Google searches only stay on page 1. They don't even make it to page 2. So this is the bulk of the market, approximately 80%. And we actually, this is the cohort we care about. The other 20%, they're clicking off to page 10, you know, pages 1 through 10, so we don't care about them. We care about being visible, most visible to the 80% that never leave page 1. So 0 slot, if we're on page 2, basically dead, 80% won't even find us. For our 1 slot, we're essentially dead as well, because we look the same as every other boudoir photographer who also has 1 slot on page 1, and there's going to be 9 others, or at least there's 10 organic slots. So, and any buyer goes to page 1, Google's literally just going to click open everyone's, contact everyone, and basically they ain't even going to hit page 2. So we're really being compared against everyone on page 1 of Google search. And we also know that 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's extremely common. Everyone accepts it as normal, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are one everyone knows about, which is market saturation, and 2, one basically nobody knows about, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, peeps know that. It's when someone gets a new iPhone, and we see them throw up basically throw up a Google My Business profile, a website saying they now shoot boudoir, or they get a new camera, they're posting in the mom group saying they now do boudoir. And so that's market saturation. Also, a big tsunami of this came when COVID hit. People lost their jobs. People still needed to earn money. A ton of boudoir photographers entered the marketplace, made it way more competitive. Page 1 on Google to get clients, market saturation, force people out. That normally happens after people get relegated to page 2 or deeper. But the most important thing here is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is the number one killer of boudoir photography businesses, is believing that everyone's every boudoir photographer gets like 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. And, if my website was there, I was on page 1, but then market saturation happened, it pushed me to page 2. Well, that's simply how it works. All right, I'm at 0 slots on page 1 now, and I'm at 1 slot on page 2. That's simply how it is. Hopefully, the new people delete their website, so maybe I can get back on page 1. Because right now I'm invisible. Only 20% of people are even coming to page 2. But no, that's totally false. It's a false belief because Google actually gives as many page 1 slots as one wants to put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search in 10 days using this new solution we've developed. So we first got to break out of the mental trap, kind of mental cage. We need to understand that page 1 equality is a false belief. That is just, we get 0 1 slots, and that's how it is. That's how it is for every boudoir photographer. False, incorrect. And this goes for social search as well. We can take as many slots as we want, put in the effort to acquire. We also know that a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. And that's because, if we're relegated to page 2 of search on social networks or on Google, we already know approximately 80% of searchers are never seeing us, which means, we're disappearing fast. And it's kind of a canary in the coal mine. If we have BSS, we're a disappearing boudoir photographer, which means, you know, the countdown clock is on to when our boudoir photography entire business disappears as well. So we're building up our micro universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. But if we break through that false belief of page one equality, uh, see it for what it is, that it's false, that it's not true, it's not real, it's made up, we can actually have a chance to use our new solution because we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology that we invented. And again, this is what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in 10 days. So this works by exactly what it says. We saturate the social search with the highest intent keywords. And this actually, as we do that more and more and more, this flows. It's kind of like all the little rivers, that flow into the Amazon. As we saturate social search more and more and more and more for the highest intent keywords, that eventually flows on down into Google or a rank in page 1, which is still where it's like 89, 90% of search happens still on Google. And that is our S-cubed methodology. Special thing about this, dude, S-cubed methodology is the only thing that I've seen that can successfully fight against market saturation, that we can implement fast. The only other second option I've seen that we cannot implement fast is having a brand. That takes years, maybe even decades. But S-cubed methodology, we'll be seeing results way, way, way quicker than that. And it's the only thing that I've seen that can successfully fight against market saturation. Because imagine if we're in Wichita, Kansas, there's a million boudoir photographers. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website. Everyone's trying to rank on page 1 on Google. But if we S-cubed methodology hard enough, we saturate social search so all our competitors, let's say we take the first 300 slots in social search on all the platforms, and all our competitors are relegated to, the slot 301 or after. Same on Google, which means 10 organic slots per Google page. So that means 30 pages we tick up. Gotta go to page 31 to find our competitor. Is our business growing, treading water, or declining in a marketplace with 1 million boudoir photographers where we dominate the first 300 search results on all platforms? Obviously, ours is growing. We're the fastest growing business. Even if there's 900, there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers competing against us. So that's just we, turbo max out S-cube methodology. And so again, it essentially kind of makes it like market saturation no longer matters because we're kicking everyone off page 1. That's the most important thing because we know approximately 80% of Google searchers never go to page 2. So we care about the bulk of the market here, which means the minimum we got to kick as many people off page 1 as possible. Now, once we treat our BSS with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. So we can finally be seen on page 1, not look like everyone else. And a bonus of this is every new slot we take on page 1, we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. And as a result, they're on page 2. They're effectively invisible, man, because only 1 out of 5 Google searches will ever find them. I mean, they're disappearing boudoir photographer. Their boudoir photography business will disappear soon enough. So it's kind of a bonus of X cubed and S cubed. And this is the same thing on social networks as well, but kind of focusing more clearly on Google right now. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So this means we don't have 0 slots on Google, page 1 on Google. We don't have 1 slot on page 1 on Google. And ideally, we don't even have 2 slots on page 1 on Google. Our GBC minimum we want to hit is 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google for local search and city search. Because at 3 out of 10 slots, we've kicked off 2 out of 3 peeps from page 1 instantaneously. Also, everyone else will probably only have 1 slot. So we're 3v1 again against them. People are going to say, oh, why is Google recommending this person so much? They'll most likely be more inclined to click on us instead of any of the others. And there's a tiny minuscule chance someone else may have 2 slots, but our 3 slots will still beat them. We'll be seen as more prominent than them. So we got it. That activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we gotta become visible. That's the way we can guarantee we're not disappearing. So this is our micro universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. And we now have a solution, S cubed methodology, which we invented. We achieve page one visibility, and we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So it's a full micro universe. And now some results of me using um, S cubed methodology because I invented it. So I want to rank for term BLCS boudoir. So we go down organic. Let's go to the organic slot. So we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is me. So this is what I did. I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots. Page 1 of Google in 10 days. Kicked out everyone else here. I took it over. And if someone searches my keyword BLCS boudoir here, who are they clicking on? They probably won't even need to scroll past number 5. They're like, okay, it's all the same dude. I don't need to scroll past position 5. I'm simply gonna click on his organic search result. So this is the power of SQ's methodology for the keyword that I wanted to rank for. All right, now main event here. We're gonna check this boudoir photography business. Going to check out its local search and its city search. See if they got BSS for either local or their city search, and also see if they're hitting the GBC recommended minimums, 3 out of 10 slots for each. So we're going to Hampton, Virginia, and Newport News, Virginia. All right, let's head over there now. Hampton, Virginia. It's no data. All right. So let's see what we got. Go to organic. So boom, we got one. Let's see what else. Let's see. All right, so we got one. So we got 1 out of 10 for local. Yeah. All right, so 1 out of 10 for local. And now let's check city. Let's see. And 1 out of 10 for city. All right, so for both. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 for both. And so that means we got BSS for both of them. And we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for either of them. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, so you've done the BSS search for local and for city for yourself, and you are you're saying you either got BSS or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google, and you've seen that key methodology, like, wow, that is exactly what I need. That's what I want. That's what I've been waiting for. Kind of solve this, kind of dominate page 1, which honestly is kind of secondary benefit. Kicking our competitors off page 1 is probably the most important thing. Getting them to page 2, where they're invisible to approximately 80% of Google searches. And you're saying, okay, that's key methodology. You decide, okay, that can get you there. And the you understand page, the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. So you're like, okay, now we can break through kind of the mental barrier and see what are the solutions after I take as many page 1 slots on Google, as I want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation, basically new gear, new people coming into Boudoir, new websites, new people competing on page 1, yeah. But you're also looking ahead, seeing AI is going to take more and more people's jobs. And since everyone's got a smartphone with an awesome camera, it's actually going to force more and more boudoir photographers into the market than potentially ever, just because AI is going to be so widespread. So you're thinking ahead. You like the initial benefits of boudoir, where basically, or at least you like the initial benefits of getting more slots page 1 on Google, kicking out more boudoir photographers off page 1 on Google. And you also like that SQ methodology can actually fortify You actually fortify your position in the new Boudoir peeps coming into the marketplace. And so you're seeing, okay, SQ methodology can help fortify that position as well, kind of like building up the levees for New Orleans, Louisiana, to keep the ocean out because New Orleans is below sea level. And you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility because you know you need those things in order to become #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also thinking ahead to the extended future benefits, which is kind of the more that we execute S cubed correctly every single day, we're building up these kind of invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, attached to our business, attached to our kind of like invisible mindshare for AI mindshare. And that actually increases the probability that we are brought up in this AI overview premium placement. This probability increases every day we run S cubed methodology correctly. And this is a premium placement. And also to increase the probability that AI search recommends this, ChatGPT search and Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini. Because I remember the last time I looked for a boudoir photographer in a city, they only recommended me 3. And I went on Google to look at that city. Like, actually, how many options exist? There's about 60. So I was like, dude, we gotta figure out a way to get on here. So you're also seeing S-cubed methodology is the best way to get that done. And you're also seeing, since we be on all these social platforms, dominating the social search, we can create a brand much faster, which is really just kind of like momentum mindshare. And you're also seeing that you decide to be a first mover advantage and be the first one in your city to utilize SQ methodology because my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer for your city. So that enables you to kind of box out all your competitors from using this. So you're saying you can get super ahead with all these slots page one on Google, all this momentum of basically all this momentum of kind of this invisible thematic keyword column mindshare, and really put a large amount of distance between yourself and all your competitors. And conversely, if one of your competitors works with me instead, you understand you'd have to go and rederive or derive for the first time SQ methodology. And then you'd have to then go execute it at the same rate as me and your competitor each day. And you probably wouldn't feel comfortable putting that much time in because you'd never be 100% confident that you've even derived it or rederived it correctly in the first place. And then at that point, even if you equal our effort, our output, you would simply be maintaining the gap we've already built between you. You have to actually double or triple our output to kind of close that gap and gain on us and kind of pull back this thematic keyword, invisible thematic keyword columns from kind of AI mindshare we're acquiring. You'd have to pull that momentum away from us. And like, dude, who's got 80 hours a day to do all this? Who's got 80 hours a day? Nobody. So you've decided, screw that. You've already decided you're gonna be the first one to actually, the first one in your city to utilize this. So you can get all these initial benefits and future benefits. So that's you. Shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed, but if you actually, when I do open DMs for new patient intake, shoot me a DM then, and we'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S-cubed methodology.